Welcome, Marvin here. Another pre-match preview and prediction from the Spursiverse. And this week it is Tottenham versus Liverpool. So we are about to take on another unbeaten side in Liverpool, who sit currently second in the table. And we are looking to increase our unbeaten start to the season by trying to get 3 points against a team who in recent seasons, well, historically really in the Premier League, but certainly in the last few seasons, we have yet to really win. Okay, so recent form. So Liverpool, so as I said, we're both unbeaten. Now Liverpool have been unbeaten this season. Obviously started the opening game of the season with a 1-1 draw. And since then, Liverpool have, the interesting thing with Liverpool is Liverpool have done a similar thing to Tottenham, where they've scored 2 or more goals in each of their games, barring the opening game of the season where they drew 1-1 with Liverpool. But if we look at who Liverpool have beaten up until now, they had a good home win against Bournemouth, which was 3-1. I actually watched the Newcastle game when they was away to Newcastle 2-1. That was a good game. I was quite impressed with them because they went down to 10 men. And obviously that's when Darwin Núñez came on, changed the game for Liverpool. And they got a good win against obviously a top 4 team in the season previously and got a good result there. And I actually think that probably was the turning point for Liverpool for me. Then obviously they beat Villa 3-0. They beat Wolves 3-1. They got a 3-1 away win in Europe against Lask. Beat West Ham 3-1. And of course yesterday they beat Leicester City in the Carabao Cup 3-1. There's quite a little bit of a pattern with Liverpool there. They're scoring 3 goals, but they're also conceding. But they haven't conceded more than 1 goal in a game. So that's Liverpool's form. Now we look at Spurs, we are unbeaten as well. In our last few games, we've scored 2 or more, mainly 2. The Burnley one's the one where we scored more than 2. But we've scored 2. We've conceded a bit more in terms of, even though Liverpool have not conceded more than 1 in a game, we've conceded 2. When we have conceded goals, we have conceded 2 in that game. So the form is interesting, it's quite poised. At the moment, this tells me that we're in for a treat. We're going to be in for a treat in terms of a very attacking and display from both sides. There's going to be lots of goals. Both defenses have shipped goals and both teams have scored goals. So what are we likely to see in this game? I would say Liverpool's best win is away to Newcastle, and obviously they're travelling away this week. So I think their best win was away to Newcastle, 2-1, 10 men. That was very impressive. Wolves, again, they were quite lucky in that game, to get that they got some late goals where they got the victory there. So, and then most of the other victories have been at home. Then the away form was a draw at Chelsea. So their away form has been pretty good. They've got some decent results on the road. However, I wouldn't say they've been convincing. I still think Liverpool are trying to find their groove. So they haven't been really convincing. And obviously they've played midweek. They rested quite a few players. So they won't be as tired as they probably could have been if we're, if they play at full strength because we're playing on Saturday evening. So we're going in on the back of a 2-2 draw against Arsenal, a very assured performance, I would say, and one that probably could have ended up taking the 3 points. And from the beginning of the season, I think we've gotten better. We've obviously cooped Man United in there. We've beaten Bournemouth, we drew with Brentford, we've blasted Burnley out of the water, and we obviously got a win against Sheffield United in the game previously before Arsenal. So I think it's nicely poised. And I can't wait to see it. Presently stands now, we don't have any real major injuries going into this game. Obviously there's going to be checks over Maddison from the previous game, and obviously Brennan Johnson are 2 people that came off the last game with knocks. The signs and the news and the noise coming out the club at the moment is that they probably should be okay for this weekend. So until we hear anything else other from them, then we can assume that Maddison and Johnson are going to be available for selection. And so that's going to influence the team, I think, that's going to go out against Liverpool, and the team that I think should play against Liverpool when we play them. Liverpool have a couple of injuries as well. Trent Alexander-Arnold is still out, is likely to miss this weekend's game, although that can change. Thiago is definitely out. So those are their 2 main injuries. I don't think Thiago probably would play necessarily, even if he was fit at this point. Liverpool's midfield, well, then again he might play actually. On the base, deep line playmaker, then have Zobzlai, I'm butchering his name, sorry, and McAllister ahead of him. That might be a decent midfield for them, but I don't think they'll throw him straight in that Tottenham game. So those are the injuries going into this weekend clash. As I said, Liverpool have done the double over us last season. I mean, most of the big teams did. We were poor last season by any stretch of the imagination. So Liverpool did a double on us that season. The season before, both games ended in a draw, and the season before that one, Liverpool done a double again. So we haven't really beaten Liverpool for a good while. However, those games don't really tell the story, because the 4-3 victory was when we were 3-1 down and we came back to be 3-3 in the last minute, and then we still found a way to implode in the last minute. Again, a very Spurs thing to do. We got back 3-3, Richarlison got the equaliser 3-3, and then we managed to concede the fourth goal in the end. Absolutely amazing. So a lot of these results against Liverpool have been touch and go. There was a couple of games when we played them at our ground. The 2-2 draw springs to mind. We were the better team, and we should have been picking up victories against Liverpool in those games, but we didn't. Nonetheless, the record books show that Liverpool have had a double over us in 2 out of 3 seasons, and then in between we've had 2 draws in there. So we are due to actually give Liverpool a dusting, and I hope that this is the week to do so, actually, because I don't think this is the best Liverpool side that we've seen under Klopp. They're still trying to find their way, and so hopefully that trend will stop this weekend, and we're looking pretty good. So if we're going to get the result that we want against Liverpool, certain things are going to have to go our way. We're going to have the right tactics, and we're going to have to pay attention to the duels. We're going to have to win our duels and our battles on the pitch in order to get the 3 points. And so I've just highlighted a few key matchups here that I think are going to be important to the story of the game, and whether Tottenham will come out on top. The first matchup, Udogie and Salah. So we obviously saw last week, people were talking about Saka is going to do this to Udogie. Udogie's going to be out of his depth, and he's a young guy, and Saka's going to have him on toast. Well, Saka was spreaded out on that toast. He was toast. He was in Udogie's back pocket, and whilst Udogie had a interesting first 20 minutes to get used to, got the book in, whatever, I think he owned Saka in the rest of that game. So he's going to have another test in this game against Salah. Salah is a different proposition. I don't think he's as tricky as Saka though, Salah that is. But obviously he's got his pace, he's good running, he likes to come in on that left side, which is how Saka came in for Arsenal's first goal. But that was, due to a bit of confusion there with him and Brennan Johnson on the overlap there. So, maybe he's learned his lesson from that, we'll see. But Salah and Udogie is going to be an interesting battle. And as I said, both from a defensive standpoint and whether Udogie can impose his forward game going the other way. Salah don't really like to track back too much, although he does work for the team, so he will do his bit. But defensively, we might be able to exploit them in that area as well, and that will be down the side of Joe Gomez as well. So that's another thing I want to add to that. Núñez and Van de Ven. So obviously Darwin Núñez has been in quite a bit of form lately. He's in the goals. His performances have looked good. Like I said about the Newcastle game when Liverpool travelled there and won 2-1, I thought he was good when he came on. He actually changed the game for Liverpool, and he's had some good performances and good goals scored since then. So, but at the same time, Van de Ven, I think he's looking better with each game. He looks quite assured. I actually probably think he's probably going to be better than Romero. Now I don't know whether Romero will mark Núñez or not, or whether it'll be VDV. I'm hoping it's VDV because I think he's more composed, more assured, and more timely in his challenges than Romero. I think Romero can get dragged into pitch politics and pulling and just really getting little yellow cards, and he gets caught up in the moment and the occasion sometimes, and he can be a bit rash. I'd rather see VDV on Núñez, and I think it probably will be him. So that's a matchup to look out for. Shout Porro and Diaz. Diaz is a dangerous guy. He is a dangerous guy. Yeah, he's a threat. He plays on the left, likes to come in on the right, and he's got a very good shot when he does that. So Porro's going to have to be mindful of that, along with Sarr as well, because when he comes in the field, that's one of his trademark things. He has to come inside and kind of bend in, whip around, whip his right foot around the ball and kind of look for the far corners with his shots. And he has got a good strike on him. So, not only that, he's tricky as well. He likes to make inroads in the box, so, loose tackles and stuff like that are going to have to be watched by Porro. But Porro's been good. And that's going to be an interesting battle. Kulusevski and Gomez. I watched Gomez in the last couple of games for Liverpool when he's looked, I think it was the West Ham game primarily I'm thinking of, and he looked shocking to me. He's definitely a weak link, and I think Kulusevski can get some joy down there. Him and Udogie down that left side could really double up on him, and I think that's going to be a matchup where, Kulusevski and Gomez ain't going to really ask too much. He's not a Trent Arnold, so he's not going to ask too much of Kulusevski going the other way in terms of quality and danger. So Kulusevski, the left side for us down there, is going to be interesting for us. And I've got Johnson and Robinson. That's if Johnson is fit to play, right? They might rest him, or they might put him on the bench and start with Solomon. If Solomon starts, then this is the same area of the pitch that we're looking at as well. But I think Johnson Robinson's not the fastest. Robinson's a good left back. So that'll be a good battle there. And obviously Robinson likes to get forward and get the balls in the box. So we saw how Saka last week, where Johnson was tracking back and kind of didn't really pick up Saka. Not Saka. Yeah, well, he kind of confused Doggy on that side there. We'll see how he gets on with Robinson this week, because Robinson likes to do those kind of runs as well. So Johnson, Robinson will be an interesting battle on both directions. Son and Van Dijk, that'll be an interesting one. So now Van Dijk's got to deal with Son through the middle. I think Son probably will get some success against Van Dijk, not obviously in the air, but definitely in behind or down the channels, and maybe when Van Dijk likes to back off a bit, get his shot off. So I think that's going to be an interesting battle. Maddison, I don't know who Liverpool are going to play, whether it's going to be that Gravenberch or whether it's going to be Endo, but one of those I'd imagine will be tasked with following Maddison around. So that's going to be a key matchup. And the last one would be Sarr and Szoboszlai. I don't know how to say that word properly, but Szoboszlai. Anyway, forgive me. But Sarr and that guy there will be an interesting battle as well. So those are going to be the key matchups, I think, in the game. And depending on how many of those duels we win, it's going to have a big impact whether we win the game. And predictions. What am I going for? I'm going for a home win. I'm going for a home win to us. I think we will beat Liverpool this weekend. I think whilst we're both unbeaten and both in good form, I think we've looked more impressive this season. And I think our threats are going to be more harder for them to deal with than us deal with their threats. So I think their threats in this game are likely going to be through the middle of the pitch, and I think our spine of the team is pretty strong. So I think that we'll probably be able to deal with Liverpool's main threats this week. So I'm going for a 3-2 home win. I think we'll edge it. Both teams Liverpool have scored bucket loads of goals, so we've got to expect and respect the fact that they're going to have some attacking threat on there. But we've also got an attacking threat too. So I think both teams are going to score. It's a question of how many, and I think we're going to come up on top, edging it 3-2. What about you? What do you think we're going to do this weekend? Do you think we're going to get the win? If so, please put them in the comments down below. What is your score prediction? Who do you think will score? And who do you think your starting lineup will be? Who would you pick to play in this game?